This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, welcome to SoapUI and Groovy training. So today we are going to uh, mainly talk about the data-driven testing using some external file. Okay, so using some external file, like if I say CSV file, okay, or text file or Excel, okay. So I'm not a big fan of Excel in the test because Excel requires you need to have licenses, and if you're running on some VMs, these tests in your CI/CD pipeline, then you will must have this Excel license, and it will should be installed there and all those things. Okay, so that's why CSV is better than going through the Excel. Okay, so what we are going to do, suppose we have to parameterize uh, uh, any request. So if we have to, if I say, if we have to parameterize any request, like create user in our case, okay. So currently from where we are getting this name, role, okay, we're getting from the properties file. We have hard coded there and we are reading. Suppose I want to use this CSV file, okay, I'll create a CSV file where I can keep all the users and or not only users, any data whatever you want in this CSV file, okay, and parameterize our, let me go back to this SoapUI and open this whatever we have done earlier. So you this is get user. Let me open the post user. I think this one, the create user, right? So we have parameterized this request. We are getting this property from here, right? But if I want to uh, not hard code these values here, but read from some external source, put here all these values. Okay, so how we can do this? Uh, you can say it's kind of data-driven framework we can create, or you can say like a data-driven testing. We will use different data sets. Okay, so let us create a test case, new test case, and if I say kind of data driven, okay, and that's a test case name I just gave. You can give any name, and in this test case what I wanted to have, okay, so as usual we will have one property step, okay, which will keep our properties, and then we'll have our create user, this post create user. Okay, so let me clone this and move it to data driven test case. Okay, let me rename this part of the name, and okay, right. Okay, so I have to add one, and all these we will do using Groovy script. Okay, so let me add a Groovy script as well. And suppose I just say Groovy script step name, okay, and let me move it up here. Okay, so already I think we are using this already. It is parameterized, so we don't have to do anything here. Let us go back to Groovy. So for this external data source, we require one source file from where I can read this, right? So let us create a text file. Okay, not text file, CSV file, and this CSV file I'll give extension as CSV file. So I would say user and dot CSV. Okay, this CSV file I will edit. Okay, and what the data I can provide here. So we require name, and CSV file is comma separated file, right? So name, role, two values you require. If you require multiple values, so you can write this way, multiple values, right? Okay, so suppose data, I think I can give here my QA. I say Michael, Dev, and so on. This way you can add different data using separated by comma. So this is name, this is role. Then the second data set, name and role. This is first data set, and the first one is your column names, right? Okay, so our uh, test data set is prepared. Now go back to your Groovy script. Okay, so all the logic we'll write here in this Groovy script, how we get data from the external sources. Okay, till now, if you have any question, let me know. Okay, so I hope you are good. So first thing, we have to think logic about how I can read a file, right? So I have to import first, okay, Groovy and the utils. So under this class, I have to import all the methods, whatever we have this Groovy utils has, okay. So I can say dot asterisk sign or star sign. I want to import everything under this Groovy util class. All right. Okay. So I can say like I declare a variable, okay, and here we have to uh, get the Groovy utils, okay. Okay, so Groovy utils and how we get. So get the object of this. We get the object using this. I think we have talked earlier also. Dot new com dot ev where these few things you need to remember. So UI, okay, support dot Groovy utils. Okay, and here what we need to pass context, which holds the information about the current test case, right? Okay, so that variable I passed. Now this Groovy utils will help us to in file path. Okay, so let's see how we get the file path. So first thing, our problem is we have to read this CSV file. Okay, so how my Groovy script know that where is the file is? So first, for this purpose, I need to get the directory from where I'm running this test. Okay, so let us say I would say project directory. This is a variable I created. And using this Groovy utils, okay, I can get the project path. Okay, so the what is the method which gives project path? This Groovy utils dot project path, right? Okay, now there is a class called file. Okay, we can utilize this. I will create a object of this file, and I will pass the project directory here. Okay, now using this file, I can get the parent folder structure, means parent folder name. Okay, why this parent folder is structure and name is required, and how it will be important. Currently, I'm running it in my local system. It will, if I hard code like where the file is, suppose I hard code, I copy this path, okay, and I hard code this, right? That will work, but that will work only on your system. Okay, suppose I hard code this, so this will work only on my system. But when you have to work in the projects, right? Then you have to take care of you should not hard code these some kind of uh, uh, data means data which depends on your local machine. Okay, so we need to think about how at least we get I know, like if I get till here, okay, then I know I keep my project under SoapUI. Okay, so to get that, let us get the first level of directory. Okay, directory. Okay, so first level directory means if I able to get this. Okay, so this file help us, okay, because we already passing the project path from where this project is running, so that this will give complete path. Now I want the first level directory, these things. Okay, and to get this, there is a method called get parent. Okay, so let us see what it prints if I log.info, because it is better to uh, always get the information what it will print. So if I run this, see it what it prints. It prints the underscore Manoj underscore API testing training. So it is printing here, and this will work on any system. It will work on your system. It will work on suppose you are utilizing in CI/CD pipeline. So where you have kept this project in your system, it will get the path. So we are not hard coding this. So that the first level we achieved, we are not hard coding. We are getting the dynamically. We are getting the path, right? Now I have to tell the what exactly file I'm looking. Okay, so I can say file path, and here uh, first level directory. Okay, and I can the other directories I know where will be the my file. Okay, soap UI, and always remember because this will give this Manoj API testing training. But after that, there is a another folder called SoapUI. Inside that, we have this CSV file. So this we need to hard code. Okay, and remember this: you have to provide two backslashes, and then you need to provide your file name user.csv. Okay, now if you print this file path, file path. This will print a complete, uh, see, SoapUI CSV user.csv. So we are able to get the complete path for this file. Okay, so that part is done. Now the second part is the first part, handling this file, getting the path, getting the file, that is done. Second phase is to read this CSV file. Okay, so we will use this context reader. Okay, so using this context has one method. Context is already available for us, right? File reader. Okay, and here what we have to say, I will create an object of buffered reader. So there is a concept called buffer reader. Okay, when we have to read the file, so we can utilize this. Okay, and then file reader, and here I need to pass the file path, whatever I get. Okay, so for now just remember this. So these buffer reader and file reader will help us to read this CSV file. Okay, and then how many rows are there, what I can say using this context file reader. Okay, there's a one method called read lines. Okay, and if I get how many number of rows are there in CSV file, so I can get the count. Okay, so suppose there is a I declare a variable integer called n, or you can say def n also. Rows dot size. Let me print how many rows it prints. Okay, now it says 3. So in CSV file, what we have, this CSV file, first one is, this is the first row, this is second row, and this is third row. So it's saying we have 3 rows. Okay, all right. Now I can utilize this for loop. Okay, let me. Okay, so I can utilize for loop and int I, and I'd say it start with 1 because I don't start with 0 because 0 will be the your first row, which is a column name, so I want to avoid that. Okay, and then I less than n. Okay, so let's see how many data it reads. Okay, we can change later also, and I plus plus, right? So utilizing this for loop, now we have to iterate through this file, different rows. Okay, I mean, so how to get the those rows? Okay, so first we need to get the rows like the name and role, then name and mic and QA. All these are rows. So first we need to get the rows, right? So to get this, I can utilize this rows. Okay, and if I will say I here. Okay, let's see what it prints. And if I run this, you see here we are getting the data from the CSV file. right? We got the second row data and third row data, Mike QA and Michael Dev. But the problem is it is separated with this comma, so we have to split. So there is a concept called split the string based on the some telemeters. Okay, so I will declare array. Okay, and I would say data. Okay, and row dot whatever we get row here dot split. So string has this method called split based can split based on some delimiter. So based, if you want to suppose there is sentence called this way, if I just give this is SoapUI something training. So if you want to uh, split this string, okay, so you can split using this spaces. So if I say space here, so this is will be come into an array. This string I can convert array. Okay, that's what we are doing here. So this is SoapUI. This space will be gone because we that delimiter we have used to split this string, and we can get this in a separate elements of array. This is SoapUI. In the same way, our file, if this like is this way, okay, so I can say like split this string using this delimiter comma. Okay, so now we splitted this, and now I can access like how we access array data at 0, data at 1, right? Okay, so let me see. Okay, I hope you are able to get like what I'm talking about. Like now data becomes an array because I declared a string array. It can holds each this all these string words as a element. So this will be at one zeroth element, is will be the first element, so py will be the third element, like this way. So once we get this data, what we have to do, we have to set it to properties right here, because that's how we have parameterized our test stuff, this create user. So to set the properties, okay, we can utilize test runner, right? If you remember, we have talked about this, how to set properties. Okay, so first we need to uh, name to, okay, so test runner test case dot uh, set property, I guess, yeah. No, first we need to get the step. Okay, first we need to get this property step and then set. Okay, so get test step by name. Okay, and what is the name of this? Properties. This is the step name, right? Properties. So I can write properties. Okay, now I can set the properties. Set property value, and here I can provide what the property name I want to set. I want to say name. Okay, and data. So if you split this, like it in CSV file, it will be like Mike QA. So if we split, Mike will be at 0 index, QA will be at 1 index. Okay. So what we have to do here, we have to say data. This is our array name, and I need to say 0 because name will be at 0th index. right? Let me copy this because we have to set two properties. So I can just copy this. Okay, and the second line also will go here. Let me increase the width of this. Right. And the second property is role, right? And data I want from the second index, that is this part, the role part. Okay. Okay. Now, once we set the data, okay, what we have to do? So better if I write here, set the property value, just a comment section so that it will be easier to what we are doing here. And here, run this step. Okay, once it is set, I can run for, because we are inside a for loop, so we are reading first row. So suppose I is equal to 1, so it will read the first row like my QA. Okay, then we are getting the values, we are setting the properties. Now I want to run this. For this property value I have to run, because the next time for loop will read the second row, which is the different data, right? So I want to dynamically change every time this name and role. Okay, and for each of iteration I want to run this post create user, this test step. Okay, so how we run this? Test runner dot run test step by name. And what is the name? Post create user. Okay, so I can run directly this from the Groovy script itself. Okay, now we have to once this will run, we'll get a response also, right? So how we can parse the response? Because it's not just only running, we have to assert also, like if the test step run successfully and we are getting the data in the response. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to declare two variables. One is, suppose I say response. And how we can get the response? If you remember, we have talked about like context dot expand, right? And here we need to provide the uh, method name and the property name. Okay, so how we can do? Dollar, if you remember, right? And this name of the method, post create user, right? And then has sign response, has response. So this will give the response for this post create user, right? So better to declare these variables whatever we are using. So def res, okay, it is always, don't declare any variable inside this for loop. Suppose if some people write this way, that's not a good practice. Okay, so better if you want to utilize, declare before this for loop. You can declare here or the above. Okay, now we got the response. We have to parse this response, right? So if you remember, we wrote one script using JSON slurper to parse this response. Okay, so to what we have to do to parse the response? First, we need to import JSON slurper class, right? Groovy dot JSON and JSON slurper, right? I hope the spelling is correct. JSON slurper. Yeah. So to parse this response, I need this JSON slurper, and now I can uh, parse this response using suppose obj, okay, new JSON slurper, okay, dot parse. We talked about this method, right? Parse text, and inside this we have to pass the response, right? Okay, so once this came, I can assert this. Okay, so suppose uh, in script assertions we utilize this assert keyword, okay, where it will assert based on the actual result and expected result, and it can pass or fail your test step, right? So I want to say object dot, because if you run this, okay, let me run first, then we'll better, I think we can see. Let me print long dot obj every time this runs. Okay, line number 30. Okay, because log dot info. Okay, so it's running, and if I go, you see here it is getting printed, right? This object is getting printed, and this is the response from the create user. Okay, if I open this, you can see this response. So we are running through Groovy script. If I go to properties, it's setting the property name and the value also. We are not doing manually anything, right? So once we got the response, we have to validate like if the name is Michael or not. Okay. So if you remember how we have utilized this in JSON path match. Okay. The assertion, how to get these in to assert this. I think if I say like obj dot name, right? Because if you see, I can object dot name, so I can get this Michael. It is direct properties available in this object. So if I want to print the name only, so let's see if I run it again. Let me clear this log file. Okay, so we are getting name Mike, Michael, right? So in the same way, let me assert now. I made sure like we are getting the correct values. So obj dot name we are getting from the response. Okay, from the each response, because this test step will run 2 times because we have 2 records. So here I cannot hard code things. So again, I need to utilize some. Uh, so this will be your actual results, and what will be the uh, expected one, what you are passing from the CSV file. Okay, and that CSV file data you can get it from here, this one. This is expected result, right? The name you are expecting Mike, because this is coming from your CSV file. So simply if I say here data 0, the same thing whatever we utilize to set the name. Okay, I'm saying this is the expected result, and this should be your uh, actual result. In the same way, I can validate role also. So let me see the response. Yeah, it is job actually. So let's say name and job. And this job we are getting from at the index 1 in this array, right? So this Groovy script is ready to let run this and see what happens. So if I run this Groovy, what it says, unexpected token at line number 30. Okay, so here we need to utilize not one single equal sign, we need to utilize double equal signs. Okay, that's we need to remember. Okay, so if you see, it's even if I go and delete this properties, it doesn't matter, it will be created by this Groovy. Okay, every time if you run this, it gets created, and the last value you can see, because it is overwritten by uh, the second row, third row, the number of data you have in CSV file, the last will be seen here, otherwise other will be overwritten. Okay, let me run this test case label and see what happens. If I run from the test case label, okay, now see the, you see here, first time it ran this post create user, second time it ran, okay, but also it is running the separately this test step because it's a part of this test case. So first it is running from the Groovy, right, two times because we have two data, and the last step is running as a, because we have test step. So if you want to control using Groovy, what you can do, you can disable this test step. Okay, now you don't see this step 5 if I run again, right? So first time it running for the first data set, third time is running for the second time it running from the second data sets, right? And you can see each specific responses also, like I can go here in JSON response. Okay, this is the first data set and this is the second data set, right? So after disabling, it is working fine as expected because I don't want to run it separately again for one record. So I disabled that, and disabled will be run through only Groovy, not directly if you want to run from the Groovy script. Okay. So any question if you have? So what we had to do, we have to uh, work on this Groovy scripts concepts, and now you can see I can utilize this Groovy script to parameterize any other place if it requires, those steps are required, any external source file, okay, based on some data sets. If I want to run number of time, so I can utilize anywhere for the data driven testing, right? And if you see, we have not hard coded anything. Even I think I forgot one variable, right? Yeah, abj we haven't declared, but it's working because Groovy didn't mind, but better to declare here. Okay, so this script will work on with any places because we have not hard coded, but you have to remember some few things like this structure can be changed. So accordingly to your requirement, you need to change this. Okay, so any question till now? Okay, silence means no question. Okay, so that's it for today, team. Let me know if you have any question.